Well, it's because that goddamn flag. You can't beat that flag. You can't take that flag down, man.
Flag.
Rock flag and eagle.
It would be un-American to get rid of Camping World.
Oh man, we got a little too inside baseball on that. But,
some very local speak, but that's okay. Well, I do have kind of a gripe I'd like to get into that's totally unrelated to this.
Well, may I say then, before you get into that gripe, that this is just a quick note that I had wrote down here over the course of the week. America's biggest export is fame and bullshit. And that's because, like, there's going to be people, like, getting paid for tweets. That's why I wrote it down. But just because we're talking about Walmart, I just want to throw that line out there and just let it sit. So I'll just say it one more time slowly. America's biggest export is fame and bullshit. And that's the truth.
Wait, give it a second.
Wait.
Let it marinate.
And that's the truth.
Okay. Now we're good. I've noticed this bumper sticker around a little bit, but I finally paid attention this morning. I saw the bumper sticker on the back of a van, and what it said was, cyclists have equal rights. And look, I feel like I'm an open-minded person, right? Like, I like to think I'm accepting of all people and, all paths of life. However, I do really feel like you have to draw the line somewhere.
Oh, of course.
And I gotta say, man, like with cyclists, like, not in my community. Not in my I mean, like, are we saying that we're just going to let cycles into our schools? Like, we're just going to let cycles sit side by side with our good, clean American children in the
equally
class? Yeah, the same. Like, they're loud, they're greasy, and not
some
to
of
mention,
them have bells.
They're a total distraction. And
the ones with the streamers, especially. You know, the ones with the streamers, fuck those.
And dude, cycles, like, I know no one wants to even say this anymore, but statistics show that they're extremely dangerous. I mean, that's facts. And, I mean, for fuck's sake, thank God they're not allowed in movie theaters yet. I mean, like, I know that's probably going to change under, Biden's America. But all the same, man, like, I don't know. You just have to draw the line somewhere. And don't get me wrong. I have a friend who's into cycles, right? Like, he's really into cycles. One might call him a cyclist, although I don't know if you can say that anymore. I mean, I might get canceled. But all the same, like, his life is not doing great, man. Like, his life is kind of in shambles.
Is he one of those bicyclists?
No, he's a full-on. He likes the ones with the motors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I felt really dirty about this. Like, a couple months ago, I helped him pick out just a couple real old cycles off of just like out the back of some dude's property. I felt filthy all over when I did that. But I mean, he's just given his life to this kind of shit, and it doesn't help his situation that he's always just his current cycle. He's just always like pouring his hard-earned dollars into feeding her gasoline addiction. And I don't know, man. Like, it's a tough topic. I know it's very controversial. I feel like it's okay to let them hang out at their designated bars, and they can have their alternative blind
park them in the correct racks. Put your bike in a rack. Okay, they can, not against a telephone pole. Put your bike on a rack. Right?
They have spots for them, separate but equal. They have spots for them, and they can have their little parade every year in skirts. I mean, whatever. I won't let my kids attend, but they can do it. Fine. They can have it. It's for them, as long as they just keep it within their boundaries. That's fine.
But equal.
Yes, but it's equal enough to them. But I just gotta say, man, like, it's enough, I feel, for them to have their little space, but that's far enough, Pilgrim.
Well, bikes are small. How much space do they really need?
Apparently a lot.
Stool with Matt Nic.
I live far away from most of the people that I talk to. And I also have to use my cell phone to get internet. And there's various factors about my lifestyle that make it at most times easier to text people than it is to talk to them on the phone, unless that phone call is scheduled. Or if it's my mom who I talk to every week, like I make time for my mom on the phone and that's, whatever. Call me a mama's boy. I don't care. I don't care. Do what you're going to do. Mama's
boy.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. But anyways, like it is difficult with time zones and everything to talk to people on the phone. And I like to send texts. And I oftentimes am more social at odd hours of the day or night, especially in other time zones, than I am. Like what it comes down to is, yeah, basically I can give you a message every couple hours. I really am not good at having the attention to sit down and like talk on the phone for a while. And what I found is that there's a certain group of people who always like to be like, well, I don't text. I don't text. I don't text. I prefer phone calls. And they always use it against you in a way as to say that their way of communication is more preferred or is better.
No, it's not, though. Those people are fucking annoying.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. 20 years ago, like, again, I'm in Alaska. I don't want to call anybody out specifically. But again, I talk to people in many different time zones, meaning long distance phone calls. 20 years ago, we would have been writing letters.
Yeah.
Okay. For thousands of years prior to that, we wrote people letters. We used the written word. Even when films were made, people who were screenwriters in the early 1920s in Los Angeles thought that they were the bastard style of I shouldn't say entertainment because they thought of novels of art, like to what a novel is. The written word is the beautiful word. It is the way that we can most perfectly express ourselves and have the time to do so. And people want to act. No, I like phone calls. Well, good for you. But 20 years ago, you could have done that.
Yeah. Because I'm old school. Well, your framing of old school is what was available in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Unless 10-10-3-2-1, people who remember that, there's a little nostalgia. You probably don't remember 10-10-3-2-1. 20 minutes of a phone call for $1. You dialed that number before the phone number, and you could call your family wherever in America. But it didn't apply internationally. We didn't have FaceTime. We didn't have Facebook Messenger. You and I are recording this podcast right now. This would have cost us $5,000 20 years ago to record this podcast.
Dude, I remember back in, as we've established in the past, you're a bit older than me, but not by a hell of a lot. When I got my first Sprint flip phone when I was in 8th grade, a text cost you 10 cents.
Yeah. And that's what's funny about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Why do we have all these funny abbreviations like IDK and TY and everything like that? Those were all created because text used to cost you money and people needed to learn a way to shorten their words down. And we don't even remember that anymore.
Exactly.
The whole reason this way of communicating started is because text used to be 10 cents a piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had to shorten it, or you would be spending money if you didn't.
Which, as we're talking about, it does go a little bit against my point about how texting and messaging is like, you know, not as like looked down upon, or shouldn't be as looked down upon, because it used to be expensive to text people as well. And it used to be 200 characters. We didn't used to be able to send people a book in a text message. You know, you had to be like concise with your language.
No, I don't want to cut you off, and I want you to finish your point. But just speaking of sending a book in a text message, I sent you that screenshot the other day of how my grandma finally got a smartphone and is learning how to.
What is
it's such a fucking mess? Like it was like 5 paragraphs that were all like it was like deciphering hieroglyphics to figure out at the end of it, she was just asking me to buy meat for a family event on Sunday.
Yeah. Although, like, I gotta say, I don't know your grandma, I don't know anything about her, but I'm proud of your grandma for trying to like use new technology. Because a lot of old people will just say, I don't know how to do it, and they won't try. So kudos to your grandma.
That is the way she was for the longest time. I'm amazed that she actually is trying to do this, because like about 10, maybe 15 years ago, she looked at my dad bringing over, like my dad had bought them a dual like VCR / DVD player, and they looked at him like he brought the devil into their house. Like, no, I'm never gonna understand this. Like, and like it took her so long. Like, no, like I don't need to have DVDs. I'll just go to the library and get the VHS. Like, no, they're not making those anymore.
Dude, this is unreal. So in the mid 1990s, my family had a full-on blowout on Memorial Day because my parents bought my grandparents a VCR, and they were so fucking confused by it that it turned into a fight.
VCRs have been around since the 70s, technically.
Yeah, but like, so it was like a programmable VCR. There was like something special about it, like how to set it, you know? And somehow like a conversation got brought up about like, oh, this one's better than, you know, your old one, like from the night, whatever, you know, again, maybe I like, cause I was probably 7 years old at the time. So forgive me, like spare me the details, you know, a little bit on that. Like, but I remember for a fact that my grandma got real pissed off because my parents bought him a VCR and something happened around that whole thing. And we were at the Memorial Day parade. She's sitting there biting her lip, just mad as shit about this VCR.
You know, I know like we're getting way off topic here, but I really do wonder what technology is going to make us like that one day.
Oh, dude, I already feel it all the time. There's so much shit.
I kind of do too. Like even with TikTok, like I had it was automatically on my my old cell phone, and I opened it a couple times, and like I just could not figure out how to navigate it at all. Like where like how do I follow someone? Like where do I even like look for shit? Like it was so confusing to me. And like it was in that instance, I'm like, Jesus, like technology has already passed me by. What the fuck? And
well, see that like that's kind of like everything has a learning curve, like with the user interface, and it's up to the company to make it like feel smooth to the person opening it. And maybe you're right about like that passed you by because like Facebook feels a certain way, and then Instagram was built on that, and then everything else was built on like how those things feel, and that's like more our generation, what we grew up with. And then TikTok's a new thing, and they probably created their own UI, which, you know, younger people are more used to. But I'm actually talking about like literally where you're just unaware of new technology, where like you figured out this is how I run my life. These are the tools I use. And then all of a sudden people start talking about other shit. And you're like, dude, I'm still using a pen and paper. You're telling me like, I mean,